Oh, and we're live.
Oh, shoot. Yes. Oh. Hi, everybody. Hold on. Now we're live. Okay, there we go. Where's that music? Man, I'm a horrible producer.
At least you're not half into a bottle of Bullet bourbon already.
As two different worlds, one badass show. Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, blowing your mind away on the Vets Own Media Network.
We're good. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to Center Mass with Rob and Silent J. I'm Rob.
I am Silent J.
And welcome to your Memorial Day weekend. I hope everything's going well for everybody out there. Jay and I were talking about some things that were going on in our lives beforehand, and I gotta say, I think this has turned out to be the lamest Memorial Day weekend I've ever had so far. It's like I'm a guy that was raised by I was raised by a military family, right? All the guys in my family are in the military, so it's a big thing for me, you know. And I actually got into an argument with my wife about how important, you know, Memorial Day was, or this one, and she actually pulled out the well, you know, there's a 4th of July and there's a blah, 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 you know, there's a Memorial, there's a 4th of July, there's you know, all these other things that come around every year, and it's one of those things that kind of it defies words for me. You know what I mean? And it like, you know me, Jay, like it's hard for me to not have something to say. Like,
Yeah.
if you leave me speechless, that means you've accomplished something. And so that's, you know, that's one of the things I want to talk about a little bit on the show, because I get a question about that. I get questions about that all the time from people that, you know, whether they have a military background or, you know, mostly from people that don't have a military background, about like what exactly Memorial Day means to us, to veterans, right? It's a pretty special day, you know. Like, you see Facebook postings lately, you know, that say, you know, it's not just about the barbecue, it's not just about the beer. But if it's not, like, if you don't have a military background, then what is it really about? You know? So for me,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
If you're an anti-war person that came from a family of non-military, you know, lineage, what is the day? What is this day?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where, like, you see, you know, like you watch, what is that, the movie one, the Grammys or the Emmys or whatever the stupid movie one, statue Oscar guy, the Oscars, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they have like the moment of silence for some like movie producer that you've never really heard of, but died like a multi-millionaire for making shitty movies.
Yep.
And you're supposed to have a moment of silence and kind of solemnly remember him. For me, I always kind of go, I don't give a shit. Like, this is just for me to get up and go grab a beer, right? Like, that's, yeah. I think, and I hope that's not what most people think about it. You know, because it is a little different. Like, if a guy makes movies, you know, some people like movies, some people don't. You know, I can be hit or miss. Some are great, some aren't. But, you know, for the Memorial Day, for the idea, like, this is what worries me, is I don't know how much they really teach it in schools anymore. Because my son's in preschool. He goes to a Buddhist preschool, so they obviously don't teach about war. But I don't know, like, I grew up, and I don't know if it's because I'm from that military background where, like, you know, every time we had show and tell, I would wear my dad or my grandpa's military uniform or bring some of their military stuff. So it was you know, it was a big thing for me. You know, it's always been a really big thing for me because I understand, like, the brevity of it. And I'm a sadomasochist. Like, I love torturing myself, so I watch Saving Private Ryan every single Memorial Day since it's been out, you know. But I think it is, like, it's just, you know, people ask you to do a moment of silence. I think that's what it is, right? It's just it should be a day just kind of remember and think back, and, you know, if you have buddies that you've lost, like, it's crazy, man. I've lost 2 buddies this year. Like, I lost 2 buddies in the military that, you know, were in their thing, and I'm not even in the military anymore, and that's the crazy thing about it. And like, I just realized we're getting pretty heavy pretty quick on this one, so yeah. I'm going to lighten it up a second.
Starting to get sad real quick.
That's a weird thing, man, like, because most people, and it's crazy, I'm in California, so, you know, you can't really think about reality when you're talking about this place, but a lot of people that I talk to really do, like, they have this idea that, oh, well, aren't the wars over? Like, Obama said the wars are over. Like, how are people still dying? You know, they don't understand.
The other big confusion is Veterans Day and Memorial Day. You know,
Right.
They'll see me, like, I had a 4-day weekend this weekend, and I just, you know, I didn't need to be in uniform. But in the past, last year I gave a speech on Memorial Day basically about this topic. It's not my day, you know. It's not the guy next to me in uniform. It's not the girl next to me in uniform. It's the person that's, you know, that's dead, that served in the military. Your grandfather, your great grandfather, your uncle, your dad, your mother. You know, it's their day. Your brother, you know, the guy that you went to high school with who passed away. It's their day. So that was a big chunk of my speech, you know, and then right after the speech, somebody goes, "Oh, thank you for your service. You know, Happy Memorial Day." And I'm just like, "Happy? You didn't listen to a fucking thing I said. I was up there for 15 minutes. I mean, I got a good round of applause by a bunch of strangers, so it wasn't just people that liked me and knew me and wanted to support me. It was people I'd never met before. I was just invited through Tactical 16 to go make a speech, and I gave the speech, and I was like, wow, talk about falling on deaf ears. And that just really, it kind of was like, was it all for naught? You know, and it's weird. It's like Happy Memorial Day. It's kind of an oxymoron. You don't go into a wake and be like, hey, how's this wake going? You know, you see the cheese spread they got out there? Fucking shit's spot on. I mean,
unless you're Irish, and that's where.
Yeah. Did we lose?
I think I just lost you for a second.
Can't hear you.
No, I think it got slow for a second. Can you hear me now?
All right, we're back.
Well, I tell you what, like, speaking of Irish wakes, so a guy that we lost when I was in 110, well, actually before I got to 110, Captain, they call him Taz, Captain Tozlowski. This guy did it right, man. Mm-hmm. He left, you know, you got your SGLI, so you get your, you know, when you die, whenever our guys in SF would die, we'd say, oh, somebody just cashed this $400,000 paycheck, you know, so that's, you know, it's $400,000 life insurance policy that goes directly to the family. So he left, you know, out of $400,000, I think $300,000 to his family, pay off their debts and all that. Well, I don't think they had a lot of debt. And he left $100,000 for the guys from his company to go to Reno and spend a week just balls out partying. He wanted a full-blown Irish wake.
That's doing it right. Man, yeah. I might have to redo my fucking will.
Yeah. From what I heard, it was a pretty good time too.
Yeah. That's Irish.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy, isn't it? Taz, like, I think he was Polish or Czech or something like that. So he wasn't.
But
the man had some class. I mean, that's a good way to do it. But that is, you know, that's a good way for people to understand it, I guess. Veterans Day, Memorial Day. You know, it's a memorial. It's people that died, and that's why it's more solemn, right? Veterans Day, parades, celebrate, thank a veteran, hug a veteran. If you're a nice young lady, you know, take your top off and show them to a veteran.
Show me your. And you took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, that's, you know, I had a lot of friends who were Rangers, and so so Army guys out there, big difference. So when somebody says they're a Ranger, there's a Ranger with a tab and there's a Ranger with a scroll, right? Yep. So a Ranger with a tab went to Ranger school. Anybody can do that, but it's, you know, a month. It's a miserable month. They make it through Ranger school. You're a tough SOB, but the Ranger scroll means you're actually in Ranger Battalion. You were an active Ranger. Your unit was to be a Ranger. You didn't just go get a Ranger tab and then go back to, you know, doing whatever, like, you know, whatever it is that you were doing. You're an active Ranger, which means you're, you know, in special operations. They are some hard pipe-hitting mofos. I mean, that's like, when you think about stormtroopers, Rangers, right? Tough guys. Yep. So the Rangers, there's East Coast and West Coast. So the guys that are on the East Coast, where they are, I mean, it's open source. They're in Georgia. So the town where they are has this big parade, and they go march in the parade. And everybody that I've talked to said it's like the most awesome day of the year. It's their St. Patty's Day parade, and they have the Rangers march in it. And every
that is a fucking hell of a that's an experience.
Yeah, well, they said the Rangers, like, when you're marching in a uniform, women just like flock on them, and like every Ranger gets like hugged and kissed and all. They just come out of the stands and just come out there like. It's funny because I went through the Q course with guys from all over the place. We did our medical rotations. I was in Tampa for a little while, and we'd go pick up girls. You know, I was a young single guy and, you know, not dating anybody, and we went. I was in Tampa during spring break, doing my, like, I was in the last part of the special operations, medical course, and we'd go pick up girls at night whenever we had time off, and I'd always go, hey, how you doing? We're in the Army, like, blah, blah, you know, I'd introduce to that, and a couple guys would, like, pull me aside and go, hey, man, you don't tell them you're in the Army. And I was like, hey, dude, we're in a fucking red state. Like, trust me, that's good. Like, that's that's a big plus around here. But it's crazy because that doesn't, you don't get the same.
Says, hey, ladies, MSF. They're gonna be like,
yeah,
what? Simply fucking retarded? I mean, yeah. There's a big difference. Vermont, Florida, do that shit in Texas. You're good.
Yeah, Texas, you're good. Colorado,
you're gonna get belted by a freaking half idiotic Bostonian. So. Yeah,
Southern California, they'll just go, we still have an army? What are you talking about?
Green, yeah.
So speaking of, it is Memorial Day, so there's a couple of really good military-themed things that are coming up that I wanted to give some promotions to. So since we're on the topic of Memorial Day, and obviously, talking about memorials and what that really means, a big part of that is celebrating the people who have passed away. So you guys know I wear this. This is for my buddy Captain Dave Lyon that I lost a couple days after Christmas on the 27th. I've been talking about it everywhere I can. There's a Captain David Lyon Memorial 5K run. If you're in Colorado Springs, Friday, June 27th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., they're going to have that Captain David Lyon Memorial run. And so I've been telling everybody, I'll send anybody that sends me a picture of them participating in that run. I'll send you an autographed copy of Love Me When I'm Gone. I'll send you an autographed copy of The Pact when it comes out, and it's published by Tactical 16, which should be very soon. And you know what? I'll even give you a kiss, guy or girl, I don't care. I'll give you a big sloppy kiss because I think that's an awesome thing to be a part of, and it would really make me proud if I knew some people were out there supporting my brother Dave. Another great thing, so Mike Dawson, if you guys listen to the Adam Carolla podcast, if you know who Dawson is, Dawson has his thing called Los Angeles. He's the manager for this musician called Jonathan McEwen. He's actually putting on a concert in Vegas next month, and it's pretty cool. I spent last night with Dawson. We had dinner together. He was telling me all about this stuff because I have my background. When I was in college, I used to produce large-scale music festivals, so he asked me for some tips and things like that. But this concert that's going on, he's got a new kind of angle to it where they are going to be giving away 2-for-1 tickets to veterans. So if you're a veteran, you can buy 2 tickets for the price of 1. It's going to be there at the Westin Hotel in Lake Las Vegas. It's called Universal Sun Live. And the really cool thing about this is he's got the kids of all these big music legends that are all playing. So he's got Jonathan McEwen, who his family was the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, if you heard of them. He's actually playing with them next weekend at a big show in Vegas. Jade Hendricks, who's Jimi Hendrix's kid, with Bucket Baker, Randy Tico, and he's got like this huge lineup of like all of your favorite musicians that are out there. And again, if you're a veteran, so if you're listening to Vets on Radio or Vets on Media, you're either a veteran or you know a veteran, right? So if you are going to be in the Lake Las Vegas area or you're really interested in seeing those people, go to www.24tix.com. And you can check out all the events for that. And again, if you're a veteran, you can get 2-for-1 tickets. You can go check it out. They have a Facebook page. Just on Facebook, put in Universal Sun Live, and they have their page there where they have all the stuff about it. But that sounds like a really cool concert. That's going to be June 14th. Again, it's at the Westin Lake Las Vegas. He showed me the pictures of the venue. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's going to be some great music. If you're a veteran, it's great prices. So go check that out. And I got one last thing. My buddy Ray, so if you've read the book Love Me When I'm Gone, Ray is Ray. He's a good friend of mine. I saw something that his wife posted on Facebook over the week. Ray has been, he was in SF with me. He's done some contracting for the last 5 or 6 years. Done some pretty heavy stuff, man, the kind of stuff they write about in books. Well, he got hooked up with some guys that he met while he was contracting, some SEALs that started a company called Horses for Heroes. And so we're going to try and get he started a dialogue with us. I'm going to get the other guys from that organization on here, and they're going to come on and talk with us about their organization. But they basically, it's what they say. Like they're out in Wyoming. Their idea is to get a bunch of horses, and they take veterans out into the woods. They do some survival camping, go out and real mountain man stuff, So to raise money for them, Ray is doing a thing where he's raising money, and his goal is to buy as many horses as he can, a couple mules and some tack, and ride from Colorado Springs up to Wyoming. And it's going to take him 90 days. He's going to ride up there, He's going to give him a check for the money, that whatever money he raises, and he'll give him the horses, he'll give him the mules, and he's going to fly home. So we're going to try and get the guys from Horses for Heroes on here to talk about that, because it is a really cool organization, and one that I really want to throw my support behind. I'm going to try and get him in touch with Adam and Jamie so they can, get on all the Bets on Media shows and talk a little bit about what they're doing, because it really is a good cause. And I know a lot of guys that have been, PTSD is like a really cool buzzword these days. But I know a lot of guys that really have, they've been kind of shell-shocked. Guys that have been in some pretty heavy stuff. And it's amazing how it's got to be the right thing. But the right thing can really connect with somebody and change the way that they are. I've seen some guys get in some pretty dark spots, man. I've been in some pretty dark spots myself. And it's for us, you're not going to go sit down in front of a counselor and drink coffee and sit on his fucking leather couch and tell you about the nightmares that you're having about dead bodies, But little things like that, like it is like what I did last weekend, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But little things, going back, connecting with nature, like doing things that you really connect with. And that's why I think this Horses for Heroes program is such an awesome idea.
That does sound cool. I wish I was out there to partake in it. I've never ridden a horse.
Well, you've never ridden a horse?
Wow, this fucking big beastly things scare the hell out of me.
I guess I take it for granted. I'm from Texas. I would meet people. I was a bad kid, so I ended up in military school when I was in high school, and I went to military school in Florida. And I met kids, like people there that really thought I still rode a horse to school. They thought like Texas, like
I would think the same thing. Well, okay, here let's look at the contrasting difference of our upbringing. When was the first time you were in a subway?
Oh Jesus, a subway? Probably when I went to visit New York in college, I think.
I used to take one every day to high school. So, see, I rode a horse to school every day. I rode a subway every day.
I couldn't imagine, and it's such a crazy thing about just like where you are and where you grew up. Where I grew up in a suburb of Houston that was pretty, it was pretty safe. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was a different time or if it was the place or what, but like our parents, like from the age of 5, we would just go out and just play. Right, just go out and like disappear for 4, 5, 6 hours and just play, and they were just cool with it. You just ride your bike and you just go out and you're playing whatever. Here in Los Angeles, I would not let my kid out of my sight. You know what I mean? Like not until he's 18 and is packing heat and like knows jujitsu. Right, he's not getting out of my sight. I would never let my kid on a subway. Never, never. With all the crazy shit I hear about there, not in a million years, man.
The aroma of piss and crackheads is just takes me back.
I tell you what, though, there's I went to, so we go back to Taiwan. We try to go once a year because my wife's Taiwanese, my kids are half Taiwanese. The Taiwanese subways are immaculate.
Really?
Absolutely immaculate, yeah, because they don't allow people to eat, and they don't allow, like, no food, no drink, no nothing. And they're Asians, so, people aren't cranking one off in the corner. They're pretty...
Yeah. Did you hear about that? Or did you see the video? It was about it was a guy on a bus, I think in Philly. He was just cranking one out on the bus, and this lady started videotaping him and like, "Excuse me, why are you doing that?" He's like, "Don't." It was basically, "Don't interrupt me. Don't." I could jerk off on the bus if I want to, and it's like, yeah.
I love hearing Louis C.K. talk about that. He's like, I'm married, I'm 45, I get laid once every couple of years. Like, I don't care. When you see, he's like, when you see a guy like jerking off on the street corner, most people think he's like homeless and out of his mind. No, that's a married man. That guy owns his own home. He can't even jerk off in the privacy of his own home anymore because every time he does, his wife walks in on him and yells at him. Right? So, I think it would feel better to be doing it just like out in the middle of public and have people looking at you than it would be, get shamed by your wife every time she walks in if you're doing it in your own home that you own, right?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's embarrassing. I don't know. Is it? Maybe it is. Should it be embarrassing when somebody catches you? When you're an adult? Like if I was 18, it's like, okay, but you kind of understand. Like that person would screw the knot of a log,
Here's the thing.
35, you're 35. I've lived a long enough life. I've seen enough combat where if I want to do it, I should have the God-given right to do it.
You know what though? Here's what I think. Like, I like again Louis C.K. like his take on gay people. He's just like something's right about those people. They're having parades. Like nobody has parades about the way that I get laid, right? And I think about the same thing with jerking off. Like heterosexual men, we have the absolute worst of the worst, right? Because women, when women want to do it, they do, make a bubble bath. They make nice little cute vibrators for us, for them. They have like, candles they light, soft music, and they go at it all night, right? And then gay guys, fucking parades, dude. Parades. Like Dan Cummins, another one of my favorite comics, talks about like the Fremont Street Festival or something they have in San Francisco where they just shut down 9 blocks and like they film gay porn in like the middle of daylight in the middle of the city.
Good for them.
So yeah, good for them. Hey, they're having fun. But like heterosexual men, like no matter what it is, you can get your favorite porn out. You do whatever you do. Imagine your favorite time you were with your wife or whatever you do. Stick a finger in your butt, whatever it is that you do that makes you happy. But for us, there's just this immense feeling of shame as soon as you're done, right? Like, you finish, you're just like, oh God, I'm such a horrible human being, So like, if you feel that much shame in your own house, in your own bathroom, in your own house that you've paid for, or you pay the rent for, or you own, or whatever it is, your own place, your own locked doors, your own business. You know what? If you're going to be that shameful there, why not do it in the middle of the street, right?
I used to get a sense of shame. I'd be over in Iraq and, wherever you can, whether, when I was there the last time we had a chew, just throw a sock on the door, or when it was in '03 when it was just whatever, the Wild West. You crank one out and then I'd feel guilt and shame. It's like I'd always say to myself afterwards, like, I could die in 2 seconds and I'm going to be feeling shame for the last orgasm I may have possibly had in life. I don't understand that. It's just like this really weird mental thing. I could not get over it.
You know what the crazy thing is they're saying, though? Like, one of the biggest killers of men, prostate cancer, right? Or at least one of the biggest fears for men is prostate cancer, this thing that can easily kill us, right? They're saying, there are a lot of people saying, there are a lot of medical reports now that are saying that ejaculating once a day reduces your chance of getting prostate cancer, like, substantially, like, well over 60%.
Really?
Yeah, and, like, I'm sorry, man, I'm married. I don't know any married guy that gets laid every day. If you do, write a book, right? Just tell the rest of us how you do it. I definitely don't know any single guys that get laid every day. I know single guys that pull more ass than a bicycle seat, but I don't know any single guys that are getting laid every single day. So, like, what's your other option? And that's like, but do you want to have to explain that to your wife? Like, hey, honey, I don't want prostate cancer, so either you help me out or I'm going to go help myself out. But it's just, why is it so shameful for us and only us? Like, I don't.
Yeah, even in my heyday of when I was working the door at a bar, my day job was the Army. Yeah, skinny me. But people get so drunk in Wisconsin, I could easily take a 240-pound man. In the Army, and then working the door of a bar, and I controlled who paid a cover or not. It was very easy for me to take a complete advantage of that, and that wasn't even an everyday thing. I don't know, and I know a lot of gay guys, a lot of really out there, like, here I am, take me, gay guys. I don't even think they get laid every day. So whoever does it every day, I don't know. It's got to be some like yoga master or something like that, or some monk hidden out in Nepal or something like that just knows the secret.
That is one. I tell you what, like, screw the secret of money, screw the secret of like controlling your destiny and controlling that. That's the secret I think every guy wants to know. Like, how do you? And I don't care. Like, even I think especially married guys, because I think guys have this idea that once you get married, it's like, oh, because you marry a woman that you love, she's beautiful, even if she's beautiful to you, no matter what. And we would like, even for us, like, I think society thinks when guys say, I wish I was getting laid every day, they think we're just all hound dogs and we want to go out and, get laid with everybody in the world. No, like, I would be perfectly happy if I was with my wife every day, but that shit don't happen, especially after kids. So if you're out there and you got the secret, write a book. Just please write a book. Just
the funny
include
thing,
pictures.
My wife was every day when we were married.
Are you serious?
I wasn't there.
Oh. I was talking to somebody about.
I think she's watching the show tonight. Hi, how you doing? Oh, look.
I was talking to somebody.
We're friends now. We're friends now, but yeah, Yeah. I don't know the sex. I'm over sex. I was thinking about it. I was sitting on the couch tonight, getting ready for the show, and my girl's sleeping. I'm on the couch by myself, and I was thinking about sex. Like just thinking. I'm like, I was watching a rom-com.
Oh my God, Joe, come on, dude.
It was just on TV, and I started watching it.
Fixed? Did you get fixed? Did somebody cut him off while you were sleeping?
No, I'm still a man, damn it.
Took you to the vet. You got that little cone thing around your head all week.
Yeah, I haven't been able to lick my ear all weekend. I was watching it. It was like there's an industry of movies of how desperately people want it, but they don't get it, and it's got to be the right person. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm like, how's that going to help me with my career? I think as I get now, I'm like so career orientated of like what I want to do with my career. I could really care less. Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just the weekend. I don't know. I feel like I'm more worried about my career now, and after the military and school and work and stuff like this. I don't know.
Well, have you seen that Seinfeld? The Seinfeld where George Costanza just like swears it off, and all of a sudden he becomes like this brilliant, like this master of his own destiny. Like it starts inventing new stuff, like this brilliant guy, and then all of a sudden he and like a cleaning lady somewhere go and like all of a sudden back to stupid, just immediately back to stupid.
It does make you dumb in a way because I think the chase, like if you're single and you're so desperate, or maybe even if you're married and you're desperate and you're looking. That will make you dumb because that is the only thing. You're like a bloodhound. That is the only thing I want. Like, where am I going to get my next meal from?
Right. Norm Macdonald. I guess I'm just going to plagiarize every comic on the planet today. But Norm Macdonald has a really funny bit about that where he talks about, scientists say that men think about sex every like 2.5 seconds. And he's like, number one, I don't really like it when you break stuff down into decimals like that. But he's like, in reality, it's not that it's every 2.5 seconds, because if it was every 2.5 seconds, we would never be able to get anything done, right? Like, wake up, try and tie your shoe, think about sex, and just stop. And then go and try to make dinner, but something about, it's not like that. It's like you kind of go throughout your day, you're thinking about normal stuff, like, oh, what do I got to do today? I got to go pick up some soup, and I got to do the laundry, and, oh, yeah, I got to call this guy back. And then all of a sudden you hit this point where it's just like, that's all that you can think about. Like, it's not that it's every 2.5 seconds, but once you hit it, if you hit it and you don't release it, that's all that you can think about for the next day or two or three or four, or until it is that somehow you release those demons, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Then one thing, it kind of made me sad. I was watching, I don't know if I saw it on NPR or the Huffington Post. I like a bunch of them.
All right, so NPR, I got my hippie side. I try and balance it out with my like super conservative, and I go kind of liberal. Huffington Post, though, man.
You know what? I think I've gone on the Huffington Post maybe 3 times as a site, and that's when I was doing my FM show, and that was during the Wall Street protest. And I was getting some really good sound bites from the Huffington Post, just because I was like, oh, look, they think this person is intelligent. I'm going to show how idiotic they are, Like the college kids, the government should pay everybody's tuition. Why should they pay everybody's tuition? Stuff like that. But I just went through a few weeks ago. I'm like, you know what? I want to find different tidbits and sources of information from anything possible. So I'll go on Allen West, and then I'll check out the Huffington Post. Then I'll go to High Times, and then NPR, and then
you gotta have High Times in there.
Yeah, the Daily different stuff like that. Like I find a blend, and I might think it's all horse crap. I don't think any of it is 100% honest, but a lot of it's interesting. Sometimes I get a laugh out of it. But on the Huffington Post, they had an image. I hate some of their stuff. Like they have to force feed everything down your throat that everything's great, everything's amazing, everything's beautiful. They had like, here's a picture of a 100-year-old person in the nude, and they're beautiful. I looked at the picture, I'm like, that's ugly. That's why I don't want to live to be 100. Look at that. Gravity won, you lost. You need to take some more. What's really good? Some vitamin E, vitamin D, and maybe some omega-6 is the good one for the skin, or is it omega-9? You need to take a lot of that, or you're gonna look like that person right there, old, soggy, wrinkled up newspaper. There's nothing beautiful about that. And if you're married to the same person for 60 years, guess what? You're not thinking about that topic every 2.5 seconds. That's done. That's over with. It's gross.
Although I tell you what, like it's hard for me to imagine like how you could keep it up. But I dated a girl in high school for a long part of high school, and actually some in college, and she was wow. I mean, just wow. I mean, drop dead gorgeous and like insatiable. I mean, absolutely insatiable. To the point where and I'm Italian, so like I can, yeah. I mean, it's what we got time. All right, let's go. And we got more time. Okay, let's go again. You know, like just give me a couple seconds and I'll be ready. Let's go again. But she would like tire me out, and I would have to kind of go, wow, really again? Until I found out her parents. Like her parents are in their late 40s, and every day, and her mom has had like 4 kids, and so they're not, they don't look quite like they used to. But her dad would come home from work every day at like, I can't remember what it was, but it was when the kids were in school. Like he would come home from work for lunch, and they had like scheduled sex time. Like that was it. They would go, like they would just every day like clockwork. So I guess that's the guy that's getting laid every day. Yeah, but even if they were,
I could see scheduling it where it's like that's the only opportunity to get your freak on, but there's got to be a time, and I want to know when like when it's just like, because men are visual. Yep. we are visual. Women are more mental. Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. You want to say insane? We'll go with that.
When it comes to that side of life, when does it visually become just disgusting? When it's just like even saying the other person, like yourself too. You look down and it's like, wait a second. When did I have door knockers at my kneecaps? I don't want to deal. Like, there's got to be a point when you look at yourself, unless you're like Sylvester Stallone, who's just like doesn't seem to physically age. Like he doesn't look like he's in his late 60s. But it's like when you yourself go like, I don't want to. What? Somebody wants this? I don't want to share this. It's like a bad Halloween costume. Like, I'm not going trick-or-treating. This is dumb. This is over.
I find that with myself too, because I have a horrible metabolism. So like I have to actively keep myself running, like working. To keep myself in good shape, I've got to work out twice a day. I've got to do cardio twice a day and lift once. Like I've got to get it in there somehow. I have to. And I can tell that. I don't know if it's the physical. I think it is because you've got more cardio going and you've got your blood flowing a lot more. But I know for me there is like a psychological aspect of that when I am getting a little weight and the belt's a little tight, I'm a little less frisky. Because I had that going in my head, like, I know she's not going to want to get with this. You know what I mean? But then when I'm in like full form and I'm, like 6-pack and doing great, I'm like, I know you want to get with this, so let's go, honey.
And that's the thing too. It's like you say that about yourself, especially if you're in a committed relationship. It's like, you never want to tell the person you're with, like, you need to fix yourself or tone up. You look at you, like those pictures. I saw a picture of this girl, like, oh, this is what she looked like. She was this workout, regimental, insane maniac. She did like bodybuilding competition. She wasn't the gross bodybuilder, but she was like fitness looking, and they're like, this is her now. She's happy, and it's like frumpy stuff over the gut, and it's like that. No, and all these women are like, all these women are like, that's the real form of beauty. No, that's gross. That's the form.
Because she's probably miserable. She's miserable too.
Oh, she had a big smile on her face. It's like, no, that's a fake smile. Nobody looks at themselves and be like, I am grotesque. I am happy. You're delusional. Listen, I'm a skinny guy, so it's like I have the opposite metabolism of you. If I don't eat constantly, I shrink. I like just the complete opposite. I go a day without food. It's like I could choke on a piece of rice. Look like that.
God, I would love that.
But the thing is, for me, there's a whole population of women out there that like skinny guys. I was in shape. I I had some interesting juice I used to take, and I looked a certain way. And I'm like, I like this, but you know what? God damn it, if that's too much work, I would like to look a little different. I would like to have a six-pack, bigger shoulders, bigger arms. But for me, I have to go at it constantly. It has to be a 2-hour thing for me, because that's, I don't know, I got this weird strain from my dad or something like that. I mean, he's skinny as a rail, and he's got a girl. I don't know who he's dating, but he just told me he was all impressed. He got a girl. But there's a population out there of women, of good-looking women, that like the skinny guys. Skinny guys with sort of a bit of style to them. I'm not a style aficionado. My girl looked at me today. She goes, "You're gonna wear that outside?" I'm like, "Yeah. What's wrong with it?" She goes, "It doesn't match." I'm like, I really don't care.
Yeah, I'm a guy. We don't match.
I don't care. I guess I'll change it. Like yesterday, I was wearing a fanny pack. I really don't give a fuck anymore. I have my fanny pack with me right here.
My dad's with me, and he's not rocking the fanny pack now, but I'm surprised he's not. He's not with me now, but he's actually in town visiting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's at what age? I want to know at what age does a fanny pack become appropriate? Like when you're dad, like when you're that, what is it, 40? Is it 40 that like the fanny pack it's on limits and people just go, oh, okay, I just got kids.
35 is the new 40 in my mindset. I went hiking yesterday for all those people, and the funny thing is, Patty from Voice of Warrior, I was on their show a couple weeks ago helping them out with some hosting stuff, but she had like a throwback Thursday picture on Facebook, and she was rocking the big bangs in the fanny pack, and I made a comment like, you need to Photoshop that fanny pack out. Now all of a sudden I go on this hiking trip yesterday in the wilderness, and I'm like, I'm gonna have my camel pack with me because I want a good amount of water. I don't want to bring a rucksack or a book bag with me. It's just me and my girl hiking through the woods. A couple things would be fine. Some snacks. I brought my GoPro with me, and the only reason why I brought my phone is because I'm too cheap to get the extension on the back of the GoPro. So I got a GoPro app that I can control my camera with my phone. So that's why I brought my phone. And so I'm like, I got all the stuff I want to bring, but I don't want to put it in pockets or stuff like that, or I'm getting a fanny pack. And I got a fanny pack. And I was loving it. And then I saw the other person that had a fanny pack, because we went back into town, in this little resort town, and this cool bluesy hipster beer, or organic food type of an oasis. I'm like, oh, this is cool to get some good food. There's a guy that came in with a fanny pack. I'm like, wait, why? He's wearing it on his fanny. Am I wearing it the wrong way because I had it in front? And then he turned to the side. I saw his side profile. I'm like, oh, he can't wear it in front because of his gut. And then I looked. I'm like, oh, like, okay, that's who I'm sharing this shit with, like the gut. And I've just, like, for a second there, I kind of just felt like I got done pleasing myself, or I felt that shame. It's like, then I'm like, you know what? No, no. My first day of college in the fall, I'm bringing my fanny pack, because people are gonna look at me, but like, that dude's a dork. He's got a fanny pack, but then they're like, oh wait, he's got he's almost got a sleeve and tattoos. He dresses okay. People are gonna be confused. Like, he brings a level of coolness with the tattoos and maybe the clothes and the glasses, but then he's got a fanny pack. What gives? I'm the hipster.
I saw a great poster one time that had like the evolution of today's man, and that's what it had. It had like, young boy playing sports, like it was like the evolution of man thing, where it's like, man to ape or ape to man or whatever. Had a little kid like, with a baseball bat or something playing sports. Then it goes to like the, young like teenager like Big Buck, and then like the man, probably late 20s to early 30s in the business suit walking around, and then the same man kind of hunches over a little bit, and then you can see the hair start receding and the belly start going out. And the business suit turns into shorts and like socks and loafers, and then the fanny pack goes on, and he's just hunching over, and the belly's getting bigger the whole time until he dies.
You know how comfortable it is to wear socks and sandals sometimes?
Fucking A right it is, man. Like, why do people have to give you so much shit for something that's so goddamn comfortable?
And I got some plaid checkered shorts on right now. They're kind of like beach bummy shorts, but they were also good. I went to the driving range, so I'm like, these are like golf shorts. So I wore those, and then I was just like, and I got some black socks on. You know, I got some black anklet socks on. I'm like, man, fucking sandals would be awesome right now. I'm only going to the driving range. I'm not going to go play 9 holes or 18 holes. I don't need sneakers. I wish I had some sandals. I don't even own a pair. I need a pair of sandals because I'm going to rock them. On my daughter's first day of school at a new school next year, fanny pack, black socks, and sandals.
I actually had to buy some sandals last weekend. I'm a very sandal, I'm a pro sandal kind of guy. I love sandals. I can't believe I haven't had any sandals in like 6 or 8 months. I had a pair blow out while I was in Afghanistan. I just never bought another one. I went to Yosemite last weekend. So like I'm not doing really anything for Memorial Day this weekend, because I went with Grease Bastard. Like Grease Bastard, our buddy that actually I met when I started doing this show. He and I and another friend went to Yosemite together, and it was a lot of fun. But I realized I had no sandals, so I had to buy another sandal there, another pair of sandals when I was there. And I was glad that I did, man. I'm actually wearing them right now. Speaking of which, because it's just so damn comfortable. That's like Memorial Day. It's hot out. I'm wearing shorts, sandals.
Exactly. We should. Yeah. You know, we saved the free world over time and time again. Like I said, we've defeated communism, socialism, capitalism, every other ism out there. I mean, we beat the isms, and we should wear socks and sandals and fanny packs and be happy after we masturbate. We're men. We're men.
What would that be? What ism would that be? Is that manism?
I want to destroy feminism next. I want our manism to destroy feminism. Why? I don't know.
Manism to destroy feminism.
Just because.
I can live with that.
I want a parade. That's what I want. I don't want a bunch of hateful bastards, because I know white guys could get. We had one viewer just drop after I said that.
It's probably your ex.
Oh no, she's probably. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's all about feminism and Mother Earth and goofy hippie. She's borderline Canadian, so. It's
God, there you go.
But yeah, I was looking last night. I was arguing with somebody on a website last night. I don't know why. I was bored. I had a headache. I was out in the sun all day, and even though I had some of my salt brine in the water beforehand and a banana and hydrated, the sun really kicked my ass yesterday for whatever reason. So I had that slight headache, and I was just laying on the couch arguing with somebody, and I realized, like, can we just have a normal man parade? Asians are welcome, blacks are welcome, Hispanics, white, Jewish, am I missing anybody? Subcontinental Asians, Middle Eastern. I don't care. Just be a man. You got to be straight. You don't have to believe in anything. You could believe in a deity, whatever you want. You don't have to. You could be an atheist. Just a man parade. That's it. Sorry, gay guys. If you're the top, you can come, but the bottom stays at home.
What about bears? Because if I was to bat for the other team, I'd definitely be a bear.
Yeah, bears are cool. No twinks. Sorry.
No twinks. Okay.
Just a guy parade. I don't care what you do. If you're an accountant and you're a trucker, that's fine. You could all come together.
What if you're an accountant trucker? I think you'd be a little confused.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy. You shouldn't be using your electronic device while you're driving, so you're not a good day trader.
Yeah, I don't think that worked very well.
So we should have a parade for all men. Veterans, non-veteran status, doesn't matter. Just dudes. If you like to sling seed, this is your parade. We're not slinging seed on each other. Just a guy parade. Just what do you like to do? I like to drink beer. What do you like to do? I like to play video games. You know what? You're men. What do you like to do? I don't have any hobbies. You're boring. You're a man. Awesome. Let's go march.
You know what picture I just got in my head when you were saying that, and this is just so wrong, but we talked about it last time, South Park, and I've been watching South Park all week because we talked about it.
It grossed me out. Ooh, the bully one.
The one where they have, it's the same thing we talked about last time, the Goobacks for the Future, where at the end, you know, they took her germs, and at the end, all the guys just get naked and pile into this like man love hump circle. I don't know. When you're talking about man parade, that's all I can think of. Is a bunch of hetero mans devolving into like one big hump pile in the middle of New York City.
That'd be awesome.
You know what? And it would be so radical. It would have to be allowed in New York or L.A. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could get away with it in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It might be. Hell, I don't care. If you're a cowboy, that's fine. Just don't hate the hipster. You know, you guys could walk hand in hand or side by side because the cowboy would be freaked out.
And if you're a hipster, don't make ironic jokes about the cowboy because he will kick your ass.
Yeah. You know why the hipster burnt his mouth?
Why?
Because he ate the pizza before it was cool.
Oh, God, I hate hipsters.
I'm
speaking of...
borderline hipster. In the non-hipster way. I'm not going to walk down the street with a chainmail hat with a tuba and flip-flops on because it's ironic. But, I don't know. There's just certain things I like about that culture. It's just the fact that they don't seem to be bothered by anybody, you know?
Right. And I understand. So I don't care about any group of people, but when you try too hard to act like you're not trying, I get very bothered.
Okay.
Like the guys that have like 5 different ironic things all wrapped up into one package, just do it once at a time, dude. Like if you're going to use the old 1980s Walkman, don't have the old 1980s ironic neon sunglasses and a Bojangles T-shirt or Bangles T-shirt and like one at a time, dude. You know, just maybe even 2, but not your whole package. You can't have everything ironic 80s because it's funny.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm borderline, and maybe I'm an intellectual hipster. How about that?
I think I could live with that because it's intellectual hipster is better than ironic hipster, right?
Yeah, I don't like ironic hipster. I don't like anything being ironic. Like, yeah, that's so ironic. Like, no, shut up. I went to a bar maybe a month or so ago. I was in Buffalo. I was by myself. I stopped at this bar, waiting to meet a friend. I'm like, I just want to go have a beer. You know, I got an hour to kill, and a hockey game's on. I ordered a PBR.
I fucking love PBR, man.
And somebody looked at me and, like, I don't know, he was like this weird, probably somebody you'd be friends with at work. Maybe not friends with, but somebody you deal with at work. And you're like, oh, PBR, hipster, with his salmon-colored dress shirt on. You know, it's like...
it's pink, bitch.
Idiot, you're kind of a creep. No, I'm not a hipster in this sense because I'm drinking a PBR. And I told him, I'm like, I was stationed in Wisconsin, and that's where I really got turned on to PBR, was in Wisconsin. And when I was in Georgia with the Army, PBR nights at the Red Line Inn in Augusta, Georgia, make you love PBR.
When I was in college, PBR was $2.62 a six-pack at HEB in San Marcos, Texas. So I don't give a shit. Hipsters can defile it all they want. Like, I have a big place in my heart for PBR, man. I love that stuff.
I bought the champagne.
That's the best.
Tonight.
The what? Oh, the Coors Original?
Miller High Life. You're talking about the banquet beer.
Oh, banquet beer. There we go.
Yeah,
God, we should have. You know what?
Miller High Life, and that's another thing. My dad used to drink that, and then when I went to Wisconsin, a buddy of mine that I worked with, he was a mill tech. He drank that shit like it was going out of style. It did go out of style, but he still drank the hell out of it. And I saw it today. It was Pennsylvania's. Your laws are weird. You can't just go get a six-pack. I'm like, all I want is a six-pack. I just want to have. I'm barbecuing some chicken tonight. I just want to have a beer, you know, with my barbecue. That's it. Oh, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You can't buy a six-pack at it's state-run liquor stores and beer stores.
Oh, right. That is the most backwards ass stuff I have ever seen. Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania for New Year's last year, or the year before last. Yeah. Dude, such a pain in the ass.
I had to get a 30-pack. I'm like, I don't want a 30-pack. The last time I bought a 30-pack, guess what? I still have half of it, but it's the winter beer, and I don't feel like drinking nutmeg lager on Memorial Day. I don't feel like that. I just want to throw that stuff away, to be honest with you. But I'm like, I want to get a nice, crisp, you know, light beer, you know, with my dinner.
So I had to get a damn 30-pack. So I got the High Life because it was $16 for a 30-pack. That used to be expensive as fuck, dude.
We should have a beer show. Like, I know I have a pretty staunch thing about not really drinking whenever I'm on the air, but like we should have like a kind of man beer show and just like have a bunch of beers.
Yeah, you know what? There's a Red Lake Brewery in Colorado Springs. I had them on the Tactical 16 show. It's a vet-run, and it's not a commercial. They just seem cool. It's a vet-run brewery that they make their own craft beer, and they have like the private Pilsner beer. They quirky names like that. Military hipster beer. It's ironic, you know. You know, this is the Oliver North Oatmeal Stout. You know, just stuff like that. Yeah, maybe we should have them on because they make their own beer. And guy was in the military. Cool dude. Yeah, he was a beer guy, and he likes his cheap shit beer too.
Maybe we should meet up and do a show at their brewery and just get tanked while we're doing a live advertisement for them.
That might be our last. That might be our last show together.
I could live with that. I'm a smiley drunk. I'm not a mean drunk. I'm not
yeah. Okay. I always am cautious about drinking with people for the first time because I don't know how they are. Because I'm a fun drunk. My personality's personified with some beverages. I talk a little bit more, I tell more jokes, and I'm kind of a little bit more mean to perfect strangers. Not mean to their face. I'm mean. I've crafted the art of being a dick throughout my 35 years to the point where I happily can tell somebody to go screw themselves, and they'll be, all right, that's a great idea. I'm gonna go screw myself, and do it with have that shame stick afterwards. And so yeah, I'm a fun guy when I drink. You know, I'm not. Luckily, I'm not that jerk off. You know, I mean, there was one guy I was buddies with in the Army. This idiot got drunk and sometime in the middle of the night, early morning, rolled over off the side of the bunk and puked in my boots. And we had an inspection on that Sunday. That was a Friday night, and I'm like, those are the boots that, you know, those were my show me how good of a soldier you are boots. And now I got chunks of you know, fried food and gin and tonic floating in my boots right now.
That's why I don't drink gin. Ugh.
I'm not a gin guy. What is the one thing? See, what is the one beverage you don't like? Alcoholic beverage where you just
gin.
Away from
gin. Anything with gin. I'm not a fan. You know, everybody's got the Goldschlager, Rumpelmans, Hot Damn or whatever, but gin, I got, and my old roommate in Germany, my son's godfather, he was a big gin guy. Loved gin martini, Bombay Sapphire, top shelf stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a gin guy.
I've kind of found it. I found a couple drinks where I can enjoy gin, like what is it? Is it the Tom Collins or the Todd Collins? The Tom Collins.
Tom Collins.
Yeah, that's not that bad. It's a decent summertime drink, which I've written articles for booze. I've had tons and tons of drinks just to write about them. I don't necessarily like them. The one drink I cannot stand is Scotch. I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's too tricky. It's
definitely an acquired taste, but there's a ton of different kinds of Scotch, man. And that's the thing. When I was in college, I was a big Glenlivet guy, and then I got into Dewar's. A friend got me into Dewar's. Now I'm a big Macallan guy, Macallan Scotch. I'm a big fan of. But I've even migrated away from Scotch. I'm a bourbon. I like bourbon a lot, man. Blanton's bourbon is probably one of my favorites. I love that stuff because it's a really good price. And it's really, really top shelf stuff.
Yeah. What is it called?
Blanton's. Blanton's bourbon. It's small batch bourbon, and it's not that expensive. It comes in a round, a round bottle, and it's got a little horse on top. It's got a dude riding a horse on top of the bottle. It's actually pretty good. And again, it's like $35 for a bottle, so it's not that high priced. But it's very, very good stuff.
This stuff I got, I'm looking because
keep a collection of empty bourbon bottles because I like them. The ones that I get, I don't get like Jim Beam or Jack Daniels where it just looks trashy. Like,
Right.
look, I made an ashtray out of a Daniels bottle. I got like a Woodford Reserve, 1792, a Ridgemont Reserve. I have a cool looking, funky rye whiskey one. But the bottle that I have, because I have my collection down here, I like this stuff. It's called Jefferson's. It's got a little picture of Thomas Jefferson in there.
Yeah.
It's a very small batch, Kentucky Straight, very small batch bourbon whiskey. It's not that bad. It's pretty good. I still like the 1792, but our producer Brian has drank so much of that stuff. I got him turned on to it, and he's drank so much of it, I can't even drink it anymore. He ruined it for me. When you have a friend ruin it for you, that
is pretty bad. When you get so sick of it just from watching somebody else drink it too much, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Like Jack Daniels, I had my old battle buddy that I was stationed with in Wisconsin. My partner in crime as well. He might be listening. What's up, Jordo? His drink always has been, always will be Jack Daniels. He loves Jack Daniels. Where he gets the big like liter and a half,
yeah,
bottle of Jack Daniels. That's his thing though, and he's consistent with it. I can't do it. I was never a fan of JD, and watching him, it's like I'm definitely not a fan of JD after watching you just polish off bottle after bottle.
I think Jack Daniels has its time and its place. It's like it's like Coors Light or Bud. Like I really do not like those beers. But there's a time and a place. Super Bowl Sunday or like a buddy's house or an actual ball game.
Yeah.
Time and a place. Jack Daniels, time and a place. Like, you were some old Army buddies that are really cheap. That's the one thing. Like, all the guys all my old buddies that I still keep in really good contact with from the Army are beer snobs because we were stationed in Germany and then Colorado, and bourbon snobs. So there is no Coors Light and Jack Daniels when we hang out. It's like small batch, like German from Germany, from our friends that brought crates back from Germany with them of like real German Hefeweizen, and then like $80 a bottle small batch bourbon. And we go through an entire paycheck in a weekend when we're together because we drink like freaking fish.
Yeah,
you get us together and it's.
I can't do that anymore though. I can't drink the way I used to. I just can't. There's something in me. It's my fear of hangovers. I'm old enough to know to respect the pain of a hangover. When you're younger, you're too stupid to even be slowed down by a hangover. I know there are plenty of times when I was younger on my own, 18, 19, 17 even, wake up after like 2 hours sleep of just killing it for 8 hours prior. And it's like, is this a hangover? I don't know. I just feel tired. Okay, I got to go to work, and boom, you're off to the races. Now, dude, I had 3 glasses of wine a week ago. It was just myself and my daughter. She was sleeping. It was me. My girl was gone. I'm like, okay, yay, fun Friday night. What am I going to do? I'm like, watch a documentary and have a glass of wine. Really good blend, Italian blend red wine. So, and I don't pour, ghetto glasses where you take a nice wine glass and fill it up to the top.
Right.
I'm respectful of wine, so it's like I know where to stop. I know how to pour it. I'm not gonna chug it out of the bottle. That shit's not classy. I'm gonna have a classy Joe night. And I had 3 glasses. I woke up the next morning. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe I used to be like, I don't know what a hangover feels like. Because I'm like, this is just an inkling of a hangover. I don't like it. I don't want it anymore. I don't want any part of it. Can't do it.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. Like I do definitely feel the difference. Where like that was, in the Army days, we were in Germany. Like you'd have a party on a Tuesday night, and you would drink. Like could have a night where you easily drink 6 or 7 of the German-sized beers that are, I don't even know what they are in ounces because they don't use ounces over there, but they're big. I think they're liters, right? So you can drink a couple liters of beer and be completely, wake up in the morning and 6 a.m. go run 10 miles. Come back, just go to work, just completely fine because you burn it off. But now, even at just 35, I mean, if I have like 1 or 2 too many at night, the rest of the day is just wrecked because you don't sleep right. I sweat like a monster if I drink too much before I go to bed. Like just, not happy, man.
Yeah, it was about like I said, a couple of weeks ago when I had my daughter. That next morning, it was just like I could just smell. I don't like that odor. I just not a fan of that shit. And I got somebody. Let me see. I may work with. Let's put it that way. Walks in, it's like you were on the other side of the building, and I go. Yeah, I know I have a big nose, but still, like, yeah, I know exactly what you drank last night. It's like either you didn't shower or that Dago in you is really strong today because I've noticed, like, not making fun of you, but Italian guys, you could pick up on what they drank the night before. Almost to it.
We have some funk. We have some funk in us, and it all comes out. That's why we always smell like garlic and olive oil, and it ain't pleasant.
That's not bad, though. I like garlic and olive oil. Throw a little wine in there, man, it's gonna make me hungry.
Yeah, but not for a scent. Not a great scent on a Tuesday afternoon when it's hot outside.
Yeah, true. Speaking of like in the military and drinking, have you and Memorial Day? We tell some, I don't know, military stories. Let's be lighthearted. Have you ever met anybody in the military where it's just like the ability of that person to drink and keep going just astonished you?
Constantly. And for us, like SF's got some pretty big guys, but like most of the people that I knew in SF were average to smaller. Like I was a bigger guy, because a lot of guys are like triathletes and things like that. And I met some people, unbelievable. Unbelievable. They'd polish off a bottle of booze and then start drinking beers and then start in another bottle and still be able to wake up at 5 a.m. to go run. And you're just like, how in the hell do you function? But people in society, in the rest of the world, forget that, like, in the military, you're very active. Your metabolism is like the metabolism of a hummingbird. You know what I mean? Like, nothing can stay in your system that long because you're just going a million miles an hour. You wake up in the morning, you go run 10 miles, and you're wearing body armor all day while you're at the range and, running, jumping, doing, airborne missions and things like that. Your metabolism just gets anything that you eat, any kind of crap that you eat. I knew dudes that did the same thing. They drink a 12-pack of beer at night and eat McDonald's almost every day. And that's, when I was at Fort Bragg, before I actually got to, 10th Group, met guys that just do that. And you're just like, but they're, fit, six-pack, like great, amazing shape, because you're burning 6,000 calories a day. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, that's, there was one guy in particular, a buddy of mine, Lou, when I was in the engineers in New York, that guy could drink. He would be an angry and a sad drunk, so he was always fun, especially to do other stuff with. But he would get angry and get sad, but before that point, it was like a moment of magic. It was just like, this guy's funny as hell. Because he was very, like, very hardcore military. Like, you ever meet one of those guys? It's like borderline douchebag, but also like, man, that's like, you're a cartoon character almost. You're a cartoon character. It's like, you make Sergeant Slaughter look like a pussy. I like you. I'm gonna hang out with you. But he would get, and then he would drink, and he could drink and drink and just drink like a fish. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh my God, Lou, you are the coolest guy in the world. Why are you single? Why don't you have every girl flocking to you? Then one more drink, and it's like, I understand why you're that man on the mountain by yourself. You are a total douchebag. But yeah, if that guy could drink so much, I would just watch him. I would tap out. And that was back in my day of being able to drink. And I just looked and like, I gotta go to bed. I could go. No, please don't drive. Sleep on the couch. It's fine. Okay. In the morning, hey man, we gotta go to work. All right. What happened to the rest of the booze? I was thirsty after you went to bed, man. I was bored. I didn't know how to work your player. So I didn't know how to turn on the TV. So you drank all the booze? Yeah. Seemed like the cool thing to do at the time. Like, all right, well, you didn't wake me up, so I guess you were well behaved. So
Yeah, at least that house isn't burning down. At least the house is still here, so it's okay.
he was also he was he was the guy that my ex. I went to sleep. It was one of those nights. He had a little too much. Didn't want him to drive. Gave him a blanket. My dad gave me a blanket for Christmas. One of those furry fake mink blankets. It was a Buffalo Bills blanket, and it had my name embroidered in it. I thought it was kind of sweet. My dad wasn't always there, so it's like to get a Christmas present from him as an adult. I kind of cherished it. I went to sleep, and my ex woke up, and she's like, "What the hell are the lights doing on?" So she went. She goes walking downstairs, and why is there a porn on? And she looks down. Lou fell asleep, holding his rod with my blanket over it. He was enjoying himself. He found my Asian Invasion DVD collection. I don't know how that dude found a way to work it, because you needed a roadmap of this was back when you had like 4 remotes.
Yeah.
How that dude found that in the drunk stupor, 1, my DVD collection, and 2, to work all the remotes to be able to watch it, and then he fell asleep in the middle of it. So
never underestimate a drunk man that really wants to get
yeah, well, my ex
motivation that if you could bottle it, you could conquer anything.
Yeah, well, she woke me up. Joe, Lou fell asleep jerking off on the couch with your Bills blanket. Woke up. What do you want me to do about it? Like, if he's holding on to something, if I startle him, he might get back. No, I can go without. It's like, what do you? At this moment in time, the damage has been done. I'm going back to sleep. And I went back to sleep. And then I told my entire unit. Like, Lou was jerking off. I fell asleep. My wife caught him. He was the last one to find out. Man, was he so embarrassed, because he really was a kind-hearted person. You know, he used to buy my daughter gifts. He was just a nice guy. I love him to death.
Yeah.
Still alive. But, yeah, it was just like, dude, you jerked off on my couch. And my wife caught you. You can't come over for dinner anymore, man. Come over. We got to go out to a bar. So I wasn't. He was grounded from hanging out at the Castle Stoya for a while.
You know what? Speaking of jerking off on people's blankets, there's another topic that I really want to talk about. It's a Memorial Day-esque topic because it's today. Did you pay attention to the news today at all?
No, not today.
You see the Obama snuck into Afghanistan for a top-secret mission and spoke at Bagram?
I did see that for a second, yeah. I didn't know if it was real or if it was a joke.
It was real, but like when I saw the headlines, it just made me, it was ridiculous. They played this whole, like, he just snuck in for a surprise visit thing. But I actually saw the speech that he gave. It was about the emptiest speech I could possibly see. But it's one of those things that only somebody that's been in the Army can truly understand the whole idea of like being forced to go to something you don't want to go to, and then being forced to look like you're enjoying it, and being forced to like laugh at some douchebag general's jokes that you just couldn't care less about, or like when some poor sergeant major has to like talk this guy up and introduce him, while the whole time in the back of his mind, he's going, this guy is the most worthless piece of shit. So I saw it, and I could only imagine what's going on through these people's heads behind him. Like, imagine that, like an entire like Bagram, the whole airfield where he was speaking. Like, everybody knows this guy hates you. Like, you're in the military. This guy has nothing but disdain for you. Like, if he could make you work for no pay, he would. If he could take away any benefit that he could from you, he will. Yet he wants a PR stunt. It's Memorial Day. He's got to go to Bagram, and he's got to get some class. And if you get panned, if the camera gets panned on you and you're not clapping, or if you're not laughing at his stupid jokes, you're going to be in trouble. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
But the funny thing about it is, I didn't see this on any of the national like news, but I saw it hidden in media. Karzai refused to meet him at Bagram. So like, he wanted, of course, to have this big photo op and all this good stuff. Karzai was just like, "Fuck you, buddy." He wouldn't even meet him at Bagram. So that, I don't know, man. A buddy of mine that's in Afghanistan right now called me this morning. He's one of the guys that I was in Kabul with last time I was there. He's a former commo guy, so he has access to call anybody in the world he wants.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of cool to tell that report that Obama was in Afghanistan. My buddy called me on the phone, so we talked for about a half hour about what's going on. It doesn't look pretty over there. It's
No, and you know what? I just Karzai and Obama. Are there two international leaders out there with less respect, than those guys? I mean, even the new, the guy with the strings attached to him in the Ukraine, I think might have more international clout right now than those two.
Candy maker, right? The candy maker, the candy guy. How's a candy guy win the presidency?
I don't know. My last name derives from the Ukraine region. I got a soft spot, all right? Okay, I mean, you guys turned on Christopher Columbus. You gave him the Spanish. So Italians, you ain't that bright. Everybody in Brazil would be speaking Italian right now if your king wasn't so cheap.
Yeah, good point. Okay, you got me there.
No, but I know, like with those two, it's like you would think they would kind of like bond. I mean, I don't know. Would it be that bad for Karzai to meet with Obama right now? I mean, as soon as we leave, he's dead, or he's in France. One of the two.
Here's the thing: like Afghans and people that haven't really spent a lot of time in Afghanistan don't understand this, and they think that we're just full of it when you say it. But the Afghan culture, if they don't respect you, they don't respect you, right? Like Afghan culture is they're very, very friendly. They are extremely hospitable and friendly, but for man-on-man action, if you are not aggressive, if you're not the aggressor, they have absolutely no respect for you. I mean, like if you back down, if you let somebody take advantage of you, or if you back down, they're going to walk all over you for the rest of your life. That's just the way that they are. They push and push and push. Egyptians are the same way. It's a screw or be screwed mentality, right? Like, and that's he's a wet towel, right? He's a wimp, right? So Karzai has pushed quite a bit, and Obama retreats every time, and so he's just like,
how does that make Karzai?
Screw you.
The Afghanis, if he in their eyes kind of walks over Obama.
Pretty good. I mean, they like him. It gives him a little bit more support. And at the point, like you're right, as soon as he leaves office right now, he's dead. Like Karzai, he's got the people that are pro-Karzai against him. He's got the Taliban against him. Like he's surrounded on all sides. Like he's done. And he's pissing us off, so we're not going to help. I think his whole game is like he's hoping the more that he can come out and like punk Obama in public, the more likely it is that some Arab state somewhere will take him and give him safe harbor. And he's betting that they can protect him better than America can. Because even if America brought him back here, like who knows? It might be us that end up offing him. So I don't know.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not a sympathetic guy, but I almost feel bad for him. I mean, he went into a really shitty situation, and I mean, he didn't help things at all. But Karzai was like doomed, I think, from the beginning. I don't know who would have been able to go into that, that position and come out smelling like roses. Did we lose Rob? He's got a very perplexed look on his face. I don't know. I think we might have lost Rob. Rob, you there? I can see you now. I don't know. Everybody out there listening. Yep. Hey, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna do play-by-play with Rob's face because you were freezing on cam. There's perplexed.
Yeah, I got the same thing. You went through the robo voice there for a minute, so I wasn't sure what was going on. My connection going on and off here.
Can't talk about Big Daddy Obama. Tapping into our shit. Cut it out, NSA.
They're gonna put the laser on me. Speaking of the NSA,
say anything bad about Google. Chill the hell out.
Speaking of the NSA, we got a topic that we didn't really get to last time that I know you and I, it's very near and dear to both of our hearts. The conspiracy theory of the week that we tried to do 2 weeks ago. Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
kind of, I don't know. I could see this. Actually, it's kind of going on with Afghans right now, except Afghans don't really contribute anything to like science. But so, do you want to go into Operation Paperclip, or you want me to introduce it?
You could start off.
This is one that I'm a big fan of. So this all started with the OSS, right? So Office of Strategic Services. If you've never heard of that, it's the predecessor to the CIA. And so the Office of Strategic Services was formed in World War II. Basically, it was teams of foreign nationals that were brought into the military. They were trained by us. They'd have small teams going way behind enemy lines all over Eastern Europe. And they were basically spies. They would bury caches of money and weapons. They would train partisans. They would fight. They would do guerrilla warfare. After World War II ended, the OSS was split into the CIA and Special Forces, right? That's basically our predecessor. So the OSS, after World War II, they were responsible for this thing called Operation Paperclip, where they took over 1,500 German scientists, technicians, and engineers from Nazi Germany, and they brought them over here. And so people that don't really know too much about it, that's actually where our space program came from. So they're the ones that actually developed most of our missile technologies and our rockets and our space list, right? That Werner von Braun, was it Werner von Braun, or was that Hitler's wife? It was von Braun, right?
I just saw a thing yesterday. No, that was like Ava. What was her name? Ava something. I think was this?
Ava Braun.
Ava Braun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ava Braun. Anyway, I'm looking through the notes right now and trying to find this guy's name.
It was the V2 rocket, right? That they.
Yeah, he made the V2 rocket. He developed. He was the first guy. You know, that was the thing that the Nazis had, was they were the first ones to actually create a rocket that could go ICBMs, right? Could actually leave atmosphere.
Werner Heisenberg.
Werner Heisenberg, is that the right one?
Is it?
No, it is. I'm looking at it right now. It's Werner von Braun.
Is it?
Yeah, so Werner von Braun, but what's that?
I got the first name right.
Yeah.
I just is AKA when he went out to Argentina.
So like it's crazy because there's a lot of these things that people don't realize are actually reality. But these guys were brought over here. That was a big part of the OSS. Basically, smuggled them out of Nazi Germany and into the U.S. And that's where we got our missile program started. That's where we got a lot of these crazy missile and rocket stuff that we've got going on now. There's actually a lot of videos out there. If you look up Werner von Braun, the stuff that he was doing, he actually created the plans for the first International Space Station, right? Yep. It was down to like 2002, right, where he had this idea for having it moving so that you would maintain gravity the entire time they were in. Yeah, it's insane. And there's actually, I heard some clips about him talking about different things because he had been very involved with like very high levels of science in the government, JPL and things like that. And you know, there's interviews where he's basically talking about the oncoming conspiracy theories. He's talking about, you know, the plans about what they had about, you know, pitting country against country. And you know, this is kind of like a conspiracy theory on top of a conspiracy theory, but something I've been hearing for some reason just coming up in all, you know, different kind of circles. This idea that people are talking about now that, like, you know, false flag, right? So I've heard this crazy idea that there's going to be a false flag alien attack soon, right? So you know me, I'll listen to anything out there I'll listen to.
You know, what's his name? Your buddy in Texas.
Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a false flag operation.
Yeah, and I think that's the first place that I heard it. But then I listened to this other one that's like a comedian. It's a comedy conspiracy theory podcast called The Unbelievable Podcast. I'm a really big fan of.
Yeah, you got me turned on to that.
I am a big fan of that one, and I heard them talking about it the last week, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I've just heard it popping up in all these weird little places. I thought that's very strange for that to come up in so many different places at once, but it has. It's been all over the place lately. But Werner von Braun, there is this woman that took care of him in the last years of his life said that was a big thing he was talking about. He was like outlining. He was like, this is how it works. There's going to be false flags about this. There's going to be false flags about this. They're going to build up the armaments, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a false flag from space, and that's going to create it's going to be one of those things that are trying to unite humanity. It's just a very, very interesting thing. Operation Paperclip is a very interesting one because when you tell people about it, it's something that seems too far-fetched. You know what I mean? Like, why would Americans bring Nazis over here and have them working on our missiles and our space shuttles? But it's one of those things that's been declassified. Like, it's reality. It's true. They actually.
Yeah, and I'm looking now at a photo of Dr. Wernher von Braun explaining the Saturn launch system to President JFK at Cape Canaveral in 1963. It's just 20 years prior, you know, they were not on the best of terms. And
Right.
it's just insane. I saw something the other day on TV about the Nazis. The History Channel put a pause on reality TV to talk about history. You know, which, fuck you, History Channel. I just got to say that. I don't care about people from the swamps. I don't care about some crummy-ass, overweight pawnbrokers in Vegas. I don't care about any of that stuff. I like history. And I don't want to go to H2 for... I don't even have H2 anymore. I don't have it because I didn't want to pay an extra $10 to watch that. And my Roku, I'm not paying for that stuff either. You know, you pay extra for that. No, I'm pirating Amazon Prime right now as it is. So, screw you, Amazon. I'm pro Google. But I was watching something on the History Channel the other day, and they were talking about the technologies that Germany was working on, and a big thing that I've heard a lot, and you probably have. I wonder if there's any stock in it. If Germany had like 6 more months, they could have won the war.
Oh, yeah. I've heard a lot less.
2 more weeks or something like that. They just had. How could there be so many advances coming out of one area at that time that like they could have taken over the world? I mean, if they weren't stuck, you know, in a certain mind frame, I mean, we could all be speaking German right now and goose step into, you know, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Just how many? It blows my mind that you could have so many intelligent people in one area working on so many different things. You know, rocket science, you know, physics, you name it. I'm a big believer in the Nazi Bell, so time travel. I think they kind of succeeded possibly in that with the Nazi Bell. I forgot what is it that
it's Die Glock or Die Glock or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Die Glock. In English, they call it the Nazi Bell. And supposedly, what happened was the creator of the Die Glock disappeared before the end of the war with this structure or this piece of machinery or whatever you want to call it, and it worked on magnetism and you know something to I think it was with magnets. Like that's how the theory of this thing working. Well, not too far from where I live right now, outside Pittsburgh, I forgot the name of the town. Supposedly, like back in the late '60s or early '70s, this something crashed out of the sky, and from what witnesses explained seeing, it sounded a lot like, you know, the Nazi Bell or the Die Glock, where the theory is that this guy traveled through space and time and landed in rural Pennsylvania, 25, 30 years later. And I don't know if he survived, but from what eyewitnesses said, it tore through the woods of southwestern Pennsylvania, and this weird object. And there were some people, like, there's a whole thing behind that there was a local radio station that announced, that there was a UFO crashed, or whatever, a flying saucer. And then the DJ has recently spoken up and said, this guy from the FBI came in and said, don't say that anymore. Give me the tapes. Give me the recordings. You're gonna save this. And like, it was a weather balloon, one of those ones, it's stuff like that. And it's hard to like really think somebody would lie about the FBI coming in and strong arming them years and years later when nobody really gives a shit. Like, it's not a big thing. Oh, that spacecraft that, or time machine or whatever that crashed in rural Pennsylvania 40 years ago. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I was the DJ that talked about it on the radio. Who? there's not much money to be had.
Right. Yeah, but you never, like, people, I don't know, it's so hard to guess people's motivations. Like, maybe he had been a DJ and then he kind of went out of work, he lost kind of the limelight, and he missed it, and he wanted something to bring him back in.
Listen, I live around here. There's no DJ with any type of limelight other than me, because I am the best fucking DJ in this area right now. Like I say, I'm the best veteran internet radio host in southwestern Pennsylvania. I might be the only
There you go.
but I am the best.
You got the
But
claim.
I have the claim. But that's the thing. It's like the Nazis may have created time travel. Not created time travel. The Nazis may have cracked the code on time travel. You know, they've definitely cracked the code on rockets and, you know, advanced weaponry and, you know, on planes and things of that nature. It's still back to my original, you know, thought was, how can you have so many intelligent people coming from one centralized location, you know, and not have it reproduced?
Honestly, you know what it is?
Maybe Silicon Valley, you know, California.
There's a saying in management, in like management school and all these different management circles you go through. Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So there's a saying that goes around a lot of management circles whenever you like read management books or things like that, and it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's that it just says hire great people and let them be great, right? And I think that's one of the big difference between what they had and what we have is that, like, you've been in the military, you understand, like, in almost any organization here, almost any big organization in the United States, you hire a team of amazing people that, you know, you hire them because they're amazing wherever they are, and then you bring them in their culture and you try to force them into the way you do things, and you put 1,000 levels of bureaucracy above them, and you force them, you kind of dumb them down, right? You hamstring them. Like when I worked at UCLA, that was one of the things that we had. We would actively recruit some of the greatest surgeons in the world, but then we'd bring them in and we'd like tell them what they could use and how they had to do things and all that. It would hamstring them, you know what I mean? And I think that was the same thing where, from the things that I've read about those Nazi scientists that worked on a lot of that stuff, they just kind of said, here's money, here's what we want, go do it. And just kind of gave them unfettered access to do it because these guys had Nazi rank, right? They were like colonels and majors and generals and stuff. So who's going to tell them not to do it? So they basically, like, they understood, these are really smart guys, let's let them do it, where, you know, with experience in the Army, like, no matter what level you're at in the Army, like, somebody has to make sure you follow black and white regulations and fit inside of this stupid little box and apply you to the lowest common denominator. You know, that's why the only really big technology breakthroughs we have come from DARPA, because DARPA isn't military. Military funds it, but it funds private scientists. As soon as you put a uniform on those scientists, all that stuff's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and how secret? I want to know you. I mean, you you know a little bit more about Operation Paperclip than I do. I just saw something where it said President Truman wasn't aware of the initiative of Operation Paperclip. Like, how secretive does something have to be where the president's out of the loop?
Have you heard of, oh my God, Dr. Stephen Greer? Dr. Stephen Greer is one. He just made a documentary. They said they have the alien. God, what is his organization called? I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. Look up Dr. Stephen Greer, and he's with an organization that he has, and that's what he had. The crazy thing about this is that he has a lot of very high-ranking generals from militaries all over the world, politicians, intelligence people, all these guys that go on video and come straight out and say, we've had contact with aliens, right? But a big thing that they talk about also is the fact that, like, I had top secret clearance. I had a TSSCI. That means top secret, secret compartmentalized information. I had this idea just in the back of my mind that once I got a TS clearance, if I could find out who knew, I could get them to tell me who killed Kennedy and where the aliens were and all that, just because I had top secret clearance. Doesn't work like that. That compartmentalized, the SCI thing, means that you don't know, right? It's on a need-to-know basis. So there's a lot of stuff that is compartmentalized. So for you to be read on to that, you have to be read on. You have to have a need to know about that specific subject, and they'll read you onto that subject. So there's a very famous thing with I can't remember who it is, but if you go into it, it's a senator that found out about as part of Area 51 called the Blue Room. That's a very, very high, you hear about like Majestic 12 and that kind of stuff. So this United States senator who was on like the Armed Forces Intelligence like Appropriations Committee went there to go see what was going on, and they wouldn't let him in the door, right? And like there's other cases of like generals finding out about this stuff and trying to call people and find out, and they just go, sorry, sir, it's need to know basis, you don't need to know. And that's the thing, like, president really, at the end of the day, doesn't have a whole lot of power. It's who he elects in his cabinet. He's just kind of a face for America. And that's, at the end of the day, there's a lot of this stuff out there that, like, in the special operations world that I existed in, everybody knows Delta and SEAL Team 6. There are a lot of other organizations out there that are much cooler, depending on your idea of what cool is, but do a lot of other type of stuff, and nobody knows about them because it's invite only, right? Like, it's not stuff that most people even know exists, and even the people that know it exists don't know what their name is, so they can't really talk about it because you're read on, right? Like, there are no tryouts, there is no selection. They have to invite you into the organization. You can't just sign up to go try out.
Yeah,
they have to hear about you. Yeah.
I would.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Like, there's only 49 other ones out there. It's like, I'm kind of need to know. But then when you look at the president, didn't even know that we were going to be shipping over a bunch of Nazi scientists, and researchers, Yeah, that's fairly important. I'm pretty sure Kennedy didn't know a lot, so.
Well, I mean, look at Obama. Like, every time a scandal comes up, what's his first thing? Well, I just heard about this from CNN or whatever. Like, president really doesn't have the power that people think he has.
If he's getting his information from CNN, that's why his poll numbers are slipping, because they have maybe at most, they have less listeners and viewers than us.
Except for Rachel Maddow.
She's MSNBC. They're gold.
Yeah. See, I don't understand, because Anderson Cooper, like, that guy is dreamy. I could just look in those big blue-gray eyes all day long, man. That guy.
Perfect hair. That's immaculate old. That's old guy hair. That's what I want.
I tell you what, man. If I was going to go to a gay pride parade, I would go with Anderson Cooper. If Anderson Cooper invited me, or the Folsom Street Fair or whatever, hey, Anderson, all right, buddy, I'll go with you. That's about the only one that I think I could take.
I thought you'd be more the guy that's on Fox News. What's that gay guy? Where he's not gay? Yeah. He's on during the Shepard Smith.
Oh God, that guy's just something's wrong about that guy. I don't know what it is. Something is wrong.
That he was bumped off of his primetime slot because he brought his boyfriend to a Fox News employee party, and it angered the upper echelon. And then they're saying, "Oh no, he's not gay. Get the hell out of here." I like him as a newscaster. I think he's too sweet in the voice of, like, everything's gonna be okay. He's the bottom, the Anderson Cooper's top. But just in my humble opinion, which means nothing, I just don't get it. Most news anchors, I think, are gay. I really do.
Yeah.
I think most of them are gay. If you're a weatherman, you have to be gay. I mean, it's cloudy, it's sunny. Who wants to do that all day? I don't.
What about the hot weather women? Like, here in Los Angeles, there's one male newscaster. The guy's name is Dallas, and he's the creepiest son of a bitch I've ever seen. I can't remember his name, but there's something really wrong with that guy. And then every other newscaster in Los Angeles is just drop dead gorgeous women. I mean, wow.
Well, look at the chicks on Fox News, and I've heard it from other shows, and Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. The short skirt syndrome on Fox News. They give you less information, but they shorten the skirt, but you listen more. It's like they could be saying right now, you see this water bottle right here? There is pink water in here, and if you're in a red state, you have to drink this pink water. Just as long as those skirts are just barely covering anything, you're going to listen. If some of those girls had skirts down to their ankles, we'd be like, the water's not pink. Water's clear. What's wrong with you?
We used to have we would have Fox News on 24 hours a day when we were in Afghanistan, and we called it the Foxy Ladies channel. And this is when I was like the first time when I was here with the Army. It was just like, if you ain't got any other material, watch the Foxy Ladies channel for a little bit, watch Fox News for a bit, see a few of those anchors, and then go take a bathroom break.
Who was the Hispanic weather woman that they had on during the day? Just rack. I mean, dude, if you laid her down, and she was a map, her head was L.A., her feet were New York. You could understand what her chest was. Oh, Colorado. But yeah, I just looked at them like the tiniest waist and the biggest boobs in the world. Like, I don't care. She could say there's going to be hail and tornadoes and a blizzard tomorrow all at the same time. We're like, God damn, she's the best weather woman ever. She just gave me the best news ever. It's going to suck tomorrow. Man, I can't wait to watch the news tomorrow.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, especially if you're a lonely guy on deployment, man.
That they do.
Yeah.
They do.
So, speaking of deployments, we're getting kind of near the end of our time here, and I did this on Far From Centered last Memorial Day, and Joe, I know we didn't really talk about this beforehand, but it is Memorial Day. We talked at the beginning about what exactly is Memorial Day. Memorial Day is like a memorial for the guys that have been lost, right? Veterans Day is for the veterans that are alive. Again, hey ladies, on Veterans Day, please go give throw your titties in a veteran's face, right? There's nothing better you can do if you love your country. Be a good American. Let them motorboat you. But on Memorial Day, Memorial Day is for memorial. So I've got a good handful of buddies that I've lost. But there's, I think last year I read off everybody's name that I lost. That takes a little bit too much time. I actually did lose 2 buddies this year, and I lost a couple buddies over the last few years, and it is Memorial Day, and so that's a big part. I think Memorial Day is, there's another great quote in Masonic. I'm reading this thing called the Bridge to Light. That's a Scottish Rite Masonic thing. A big part of one of our degrees is this idea that a person is never dead as long as their memory is alive within those who are alive, right? As long as you keep their memory alive, they're still alive. Their soul is still going throughout the existence, still going, it's still alive. So I think Memorial Day is a good day. It's a good way to remember our friends. And so I have some friends that I'd kind of like to, keep their memory alive, at least by just saying a quick little blurb about them, because they're some really good dudes. And the first one, anybody that's read Love Me When I'm Gone knows about Pat Kuchbach. It's funny. It's not funny, but as I go around Facebook, like every one of my buddies that was selling his ODA, I was on ODA 022. He was on ODA 021. Everybody from his team has changed their profile picture on Facebook to a picture of Pat, and they've all got different pictures, and it's pretty awesome. I love going through and seeing that. I'm in pretty close touch with his family because I got in touch with them as I was writing the book, and I just got all their permission to write it, and they've been the most supportive people I've ever met because they never really knew what happened to him until I wrote about it in the book. And I actually, on lovemewhenimgone.com, I have the whole chapter of the audiobook of Pat's chapters up for free on Love Me When I'm Gone. I did that 2 Memorial Days ago because his uncle asked me to do it. And so it's up there. So anybody can go there to lovemewhenimgone.com and listen to his chapter. Really amazing guy. He was from Pennsylvania as well. He's an awesome dude. His ex-wife moved out there to Pennsylvania. His whole family's out there, and he really is like testament to a guy that he's been gone quite a while. Not quite a while, 2007. So he's been gone about 7 years, and still like every the anniversary of him passing, we all kind of get together and we have a drink over the phone or over Facebook or whatever. Every time this comes around, everybody has nothing but good things to say about him. Awesome dude, hard-charging son of a bitch. He died in Kapiza, in the Tagab Valley in Afghanistan. He actually died when I got shot. I got shot on Operation Payback, which is going to get retribution for the people that killed him. And he was that kind of guy. We're losing and mobilized an entire company of Green Berets to go out and then wreck some shop. The other guy I want to talk about was Michael Tully. He's a guy that I went through the Q course with. He had been a LRP, or LRSD, so Long Range Surveillance Reconnaissance Detachment for the 82nd Airborne, the 82nd Airborne. We went through the whole Q course together. We went through the Med course together. He was the leader of my small group when we were in the 18 Delta course. Awesome dude. He had been around for a long time. He was an E6 when I was just an E4. So like we looked up to him. You know, he had a lot of wisdom he shared with us. Spent a lot of time together. He died in Iraq. He was the gunner in a 50 cal. He got split in half by an EFP. So those of you that don't know an EFP, it's an explosive force penetrator. Basically an IED that has a huge plate that just goes right through you. Split the whole Humvee right in half and split him in 2 pieces. Amazing guy, like hard charging dude. You can go actually the Green Beret Memorial Foundation. You can see pictures of all these guys that I'm mentioning. Trevor Blast, another guy that I went through the Q course with. He was a 18 Echo, a commo guy. Funny, I mean the dude was like 5 foot nothing, but built like a brick shit house. This guy, this funny thing about him, he was from the East Coast also, so he had a really unique accent, but he just looked like an Army guy. He looked like an Army caricature, right? The thing that I loved about this guy is that, like, you know, when you're in the Army and when you're doing something like that, you know, you never know you're going to live or die, you got to really appreciate the things that you got. Trevor, when he would eat, it would sound like he was making love to his food, right? Like, I love food, I love to eat, but you'd sit next to this guy and you'd swear he was getting it on with his plate of food because he'd just be, oh yeah. Every time, it didn't matter if it was eggs or if it was like burnt chicken or like what. This guy just sounded like he was getting all of this food. It was the funniest thing. He actually died. He died in Africa. A lot of people don't know. You know, it's funny because people still. I wrote about my time in Africa in Love Me When I'm Gone, and people still are like, Africa? What the hell are people doing in Africa?
You're the one that opened my eyes to that.
Yeah, Africa's a big. I got buddies down there. They moved up to 6-month rotations down there now. There's like that's a big deal. That's going to be the next section of the war, man. All wars lead to Africa. It really is. So, yeah, that's a nasty one. So he actually, he died in Africa, down where I was in that whole Trans-Sahel region, doing. Can't really talk about what he was doing, but he was doing other stuff. Then the guys that I lost most recently, Brad Keys. Brad Keys is a guy that I lost. We lost him last year. I met him on my last trip to Iraq. Brad, we used to call him B-Rad. Brad was like one of those dudes who were like, what's his name? Magic Mike. Who's the Magic Mike guy that, you know, is G.I. Joe? He plays Duke in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He looks like if that guy actually had a pair of nuts and was like big and like actually like tough, that would be Brad Keys. Like, this guy, like Anderson Cooper is one thing, but like big fucking Sergeant B-Rad, dude, this guy was one handsome hunk of meat. Big, badass dude. He was a Halo guy. Another guy, like multiple combat rotations, like just awesome dude. He had an autistic son that he left behind, and his wife, Lisa Keys, is actually a very, very big supporter now for foundations that support Green Berets that were lost. He was in Colorado Springs, and she does a lot of memorial runs and stuff like that for him. Nice. We lost him last year, and it's some pretty cool stuff that they do. But he left behind, his wife Lisa and his son, who was autistic. But like before I got married, I met Brad before I got married, before I had kids, and just hearing Brad talk about his son was one of the things that really made me want to be a dad. Really like made me understand like what it is to see like a great man. That really loves their kid, and to hear the way that they talk about their kids really makes you understand how special it is. So Brad, like he's definitely one that like that hit me pretty hard when I found out Brad died last year. And then Dave Lyon, of course, I think everybody's heard me talk about Dave and seen it on Facebook. That's why I wear this thing around. His wife, his wife's in Colorado Springs. That dude, he was on the U.S. Air Force Academy football team, and as much as I make fun of Air Force. The dude was a pretty hard son of a bitch. I actually talked to my buddy from Kabul today. The other guy that was in the truck behind Dave, they got hit so hard. Dave died in the blast, and our other friend JB is still on sick leave, like because he still has no equilibrium. Like that's how big the bomb was. They took out 3 trucks, and the dude in the back truck that still lived still can't even like walk straight because his equilibrium's still off. So it's a little nuts, man. But Dave was probably one of the best human beings I've ever met. Former Mormon, kind of realized that it was all crazy sauce and got out when he was a teenager. We used to have like long, drawn out like Freemasonry versus Mormonism discussions. Like just crazy to see. You would never have anywhere but Afghanistan. Like, thank God there was no booze involved because it would have been craziness.
Somebody, is also the walls. I know so was a Jehovah's Witness most of their life and then broke away and joined the military. That was the first person that I wanted, to have my back. It's like, this this is a special somebody.
Yeah.
Best way I could put it.
It does. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of nuts, especially if your whole family's involved in that. Like to walk away from your family and like risk that chance of being like banished.
Yeah.
But that's like, and that it tells you a lot about intestinal fortitude and standing by your values. If you're willing to have risk that chance of your whole family and everybody you've ever known turning their back on you just because you don't want to say you believe in whatever they have. Yeah, it takes a special man. He definitely was.
Yeah, I'd like to add on just for a quick minute. Well, not even a couple guys that are in my thoughts right now. Chris Hall, who I deployed with the last time I deployed, he didn't die overseas. He let demons get the best of him after he came back. So you got to think about those guys. And Chris was he was a big fat kid. He was the anti-shape of the army. You know what? He always had your back, and he'd always make you laugh. He was a jolly fat kid, and I used to get mad at him. I'm like, because I used to say, because we were transferred in this unit before we left them. I'm like, I'm the funny person. He's like, no, I'm the funny person. So it was like the battle of like, no, there could only be one pretty boy in the movie. There could only be one funny punchline guy in the movie. That was me, and we used to argue back and forth, and we both at the end kind of said, you're the funny person. So there was Chris Hall, and then guys I deployed with who went on another deployment a little bit afterwards, and I wish I could have gone with them. It broke my heart that I couldn't, to be honest with you. They were in the 479th out of New York engineer unit, and Staff Sergeant Benny. Benny was a cool dude. Was a badass guy who had a few deployments under his belt, and also Gornowitz, Specialist Gornowitz, who had a couple deployments as well. I think they had like 5 or 6 deployments between the two of them. And there was another kid that was with them that I didn't know, so I don't really know him. But his name was Jane, his last name. I think Specialist Jane or Private Jane. But Sergeant Benny and Specialist Gornowitz, especially Gornowitz, I spent quite a bit of time with him in our prior deployment, and they were hit by an IED. They were doing route clearance in Paktai, is it? The Paktai area of...
Oh, Paktia.
Paktia province in Afghanistan, and they were hit by an IED 2 years ago. And three of the guys passed away. That was the unit I was in where we basically invented testicles. We were route clearance. And I tell you what, Rob was the glamour guy. He did all the cool stuff that they're making movies about if you're in the Navy, being in SEAL Team 6. And then there was the boring stuff. Every day doing the same thing, doing route clearance. It was like you seat suckers. I call those missions where your ass would suck up fabric, and so we would go look for IEDs, and we would blow them up. And I had a couple other guys that were injured during my deployment. They didn't die, thank God, but they were injured during them. And my job was, if one of their vehicles got blown up, I would go get the vehicle.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was my job. Team RST, that was me, recovery security team. So we had a security team. If we had a route clearance vehicle that would get blown up, my job was to go get that vehicle. And it's like, okay, these guys know they're going into a possible hot zone.
I knew I was going into a hot zone, so it was just whatever. It was the most exhilarating time being with those guys in the 479th Engineer Battalion. It was crazy, and Gornowitz and Benny, they were awesome guys. We did some fun, badass shit. We went and looked for explosions, and sometimes those explosions find you. But, you know, that's all I could put up. I mean, you know, their whole job was to find IEDs, and I mean, it never ranks so true. I guess that's not the right way of saying it. It never rang so clear. I'm still fucking it up for me, but if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And sometimes, you know, the guys and the engineers that I spent five years with, we go and look for shit that goes boom, and sometimes it gets you. So that's it. So I love you, Liberty Sappers.
Liberty Sappers, is that the name of the unit?
That was our name. Yep.
Yeah. That's you know, so anybody out there that's watching, or if you have you know, if you are a veteran, or if you're not a veteran, or if you know anybody that asks, what is Memorial Day? What's Memorial Day about? Or what does it mean to you? Or like, you know, Joe was talking about at the beginning of the show, what's the difference between Memorial Day or Veterans Day? Or if, you know, you're a veteran's wife and you bring out a stupid comment like, well, so what? You got Veterans Day and Memorial Day and July 4th. That's what it's about. You know, like, I think for us, we try to spend 364 days out of the year trying to forget about that. You know, so there's a day that we remember it. So that's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I said we end here. So,
Yeah.
you know, I know we had to finish the show a little while ago. It's just, it was one of those days. If you're watching, you're not a vet, or if you're watching and you are a vet, you might understand. It's just one of those weird. This is a weird time. I think about my grandpa. You know, time like this. He went and fought Nazis. You know,
Yeah.
He's a badass motherfucker. So, you know, it's just, you know, that's why, like, this weekend I wanted to just go hiking and then go to the driving range. I just last year I went and gave a speech. I wanted to be part of it. This year I just wanted to hide, you know.
Yeah.
And so but for all you guys out there that passed away, my grandfather, you know, your grandfather served, you know, tons of other relatives I'm sure we have between the two of us and everybody else out there. I want to say thank you to the veterans that aren't here right now, because Ronald Reagan, I was going to play the speech, but I'm not going to. He quoted Abraham Lincoln. One of his speeches is from a Memorial Day speech from 1984, which it's an amazing speech. But I think he said the words that the dead that have served in war say ring louder than any words you know, anybody living can say. So that kind of sums it up right there. So yeah, man, you can take us home.
Yeah, it's the one day that you really realize, you know, I know there's too many bumper stickers out there, and, you know, there's too many cheese dick country music stars that say it, but freedom isn't free. Like, this is the day that we really remember that, you know. So yeah, same, like, Via con Dios, brothers, like, to all of our brothers that have passed, whether it be in combat or those that have you know, served in combat and then, you know, died when they came home for whatever reasons. Via con Dios, brothers. So yeah, that'll be it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a you know, I don't want to say have a happy, because it's not a happy day. Don't have a great. Have a solemn Memorial Day and remember what it's for. It's for them, right? So, Via con Dios. So, Rob, I'm out, bitches.